Good morning. I'd like to call to order the Board of Supervisors meeting of February 17, 2015. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Carroll.
Here.
Supervisor Elias.
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Supervisor Valadez.
Present.
Chair Bronson.
Here.
Let the record show all members are present.
Please rise for the invocation to be offered by Reverend Lee Milligan, Casa Sedovi's Congregational Church of Christ, with the Pledge of Allegiance to follow, to be led by Supervisor Carroll.
It's congregational, not congressional. I make that mistake all the time. In recognition that it was President's Day yesterday, I would like to offer a prayer by the first President of the United States, George Washington. Almighty God, we make our earnest prayer that you will keep the United States in your holy protection, that you will incline the hearts of the citizens to cultivate a spirit of subordination and obedience to government, and entertain a brotherly affection and love for one another and for their fellow citizens of the United States at large. And finally, that you will most graciously be pleased to dispose us all to do justice, to love mercy, and to demean ourselves with that charity, humility, and pacific temper of mind which were the characteristics of the divine author of our blessed religion, and without which we can never be a happy nation. Grant our supplication, we beseech you, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Please join me at the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we will move on to item 4, pause for cause, and Officer Carver has brought us Cooper.
Good morning. We have a full house here, so hopefully we can find Cooper his new forever home. Cooper actually came into the center to us back in November when he was hit by a car. He wasn't doing very well, had injuries. Our veterinary staff worked on him, and he is now raring to go. He can calm down, but he does have a whole lot of puppy in him. So lots of times I'll bring dogs in here and they just want to lay around. That's really not Cooper. We have worked on some tricks. Oops, that's paw. We've worked on some tricks, so we'll see if we can get him there. He knows his sit. Down, down, down. Very good. How about that? But Cooper would be a fantastic dog. If you have an active lifestyle, you got kids, he is just always ready to play. I've never seen him behave aggressively in any way to anyone or other animals or anything. He just is a lover. But I'll bring him over on this side so everybody can see him over here. I think he suffers from what we call brown dog syndrome, where he just kind of fades into the back of the kennel, and he might not be the cutest guy. We're not going to tell him that. But he is very trainable. He's kind of food motivated, which, so am I. So that makes it easy to train because it's easy to get his attention. We'll see if we can't give him one more. Cooper. Wants to fetch that stick right there. Cooper, sit. There we go. But his adoption fee is waived, excuse me, so he can be had for just the cost of his license, which is $15. Can't beat that deal. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Carver. We will now, we're going to take something out of order. We have some folks with some time issues. So I'd like to move to item 6, presentation of a proclamation to declare Pima County a zero tolerance human trafficking zone. Supervisor Miller. I'll move the item. Motion and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. Supervisor Miller.
Okay, I'd just like to make a couple of statements first. First, I'd like to thank everyone for being here today, especially Congresswoman McSally, to to show support for the issue of human sex trafficking in Arizona and across the country. It impacts all of our communities, whether you're in the state, national, or local level. I had the honor of being invited to participate in a forum a few weeks ago that local leaders could discuss the issue and how it impacts our community. In fact, although the State Representative Victoria Steele and Councilman Steve Kozachik weren't able to make today's meeting, they were both actively taking action on this issue. I've been working with Councilman Kozachik on connecting with the education community and moving this forward. We are still working on that. It's going to be a task force, and if anybody's interested in helping out, I'll take all the help I can get. I'd just like to read a statement from Councilman Kozachik that he wanted me to read into the record. I'm grateful to Supervisor Miller and to the rest of the Board of Supervisors for engaging in this immensely important community issue. As your resolution suggests, everybody's kids are vulnerable to being trafficked regardless of income, ethnicity, or age. The message we need to send is very simple. Our kids are not for sale. If you try to buy one, you're going to jail. Thanks for taking this leadership position. Your action has my absolute full support. Steve Kozachik, Tucson City Council, Ward 6. Now I'd like to invite everyone to come up to the podium.
Congressman McSally. Yeah, we And I believe the Congresswoman has taken this lead at the national level on this issue, so we want to thank you for that leadership.
I wanted to make sure we had Deputy Nanos, Captain Dave Azuelo from TPD, Alan Goodwin, Amelia Kramer, and Kelly Johnson from the County Attorney's Office, Jerry Payton from Sold No More, Beth Jacobs from Willoway, Charlotte Pepper from Our Family Services New Beginnings Program, and then Adriana Charez, because she brought this issue to my attention in my first year in office, and her and Jerry Payton came to my office to visit to discuss this very important issue, and I was really glad to see that Representative McSally was taking some action on this, and there were several bills pending in Congress, so hopefully that moves forward. Now I'd like to read the proclamation. The proclamation is to declare Pima County a zero-tolerance human trafficking zone. Whereas we recognize that human trafficking is a growing problem in Pima County and that it is a crime which violates human rights and personal freedoms on the victims who are preyed upon. And whereas Pima County recognizes that human trafficking is a borderless crime that targets endangered, marginalized, at-risk children, women, men, and recruits or obtains through force or coercion for purposes of sexual exploitation, involuntary servitude, and other types of enslavement. And whereas human trafficking is present-day slavery and a clear violation of the 13th Amendment of the United States Constitution, with traffickers taking away basic human rights upon our country, was founded, and whereas the state of Arizona and the federal government have laws that prosecute human traffickers, we acknowledge that enforcement, prevention, and assistance to survivors is best when the public has broad awareness of the human trafficking issue in Pima County and nationwide. And whereas Pima County is committed to protecting individual freedoms and human rights by declaring a zero-tolerance zone for human trafficking and collaboratively working with local and federal law enforcement agencies and nonprofit organizations in support of eradicating human trafficking and helping victims to recover from this heinous crime. And whereas the Pima County Sheriff and Pima County Attorney, on behalf of Pima County, have taken a leadership role in educating law enforcement officers and the general community about the evils and prevalence of human trafficking, including both sex trafficking and labor trafficking, and have been leaders in the Southern Arizona Human Trafficking Working Group. And whereas Pima County opposes all forms of human trafficking and encourages support for those who have survived so that human trafficking victims can have their freedoms and dignity restored. And to put an end to human trafficking activity in Pima County in the state of Arizona and across the world. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Pima County Board of Supervisors designates Pima County as a zero-tolerance human trafficking zone and will ensure the sheriff and county attorney continue to have sufficient resources to interdict and prosecute any individuals who are involved in criminal activity of human trafficking, and applauds the efforts of other organizations and individuals and governing bodies who raise awareness of and work to actively put an end to human trafficking. I'd like to thank everyone, as I said before, and I want to turn this over to Congresswoman McSally for comments. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Supervisor Miller. I really appreciate your leadership. I appreciate the support of the whole Board of Supervisors here and everybody who's represented. I will be brief. Look, we've got to work together to address this scourge. As we saw in our roundtable that we had a few weeks ago, there are elements that are responsibility of at the federal level, some at the state, county, and local officials, law enforcement, the nonprofit and the faith community, those who are providing help to the victims. There's an education piece, a prevention piece, an awareness piece, and we all are a part of the solution. We got to do our part. Most people think trafficking is happening somewhere in a faraway place, but it's happening right here under our noses, in our community, in our neighborhoods. These are our kids, these are our vulnerable men and women, young boys and girls. And so we've got to make sure people understand that what it is and what it is not, and we've got to be able to prevent it, stop it, prosecute it, have the teeth and have the resources for those who are investigating, trying to get out in front of these networks, and also care for the victims as they're being pulled out of a horrible lifestyle that is very complex and has long-lasting implications. So it's my commitment to join with everybody here and those who are not represented here. We've got to work together on this issue. We had 12 bills passed in the House a few weeks ago to address various elements of it. There's more work to be done. So let's work together. This is certainly an area that can unite us as a community, and I really appreciate the leadership of Allie and the team here today and everybody involved in order to have no tolerance. And I stand with you today. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Board of Supervisors, Congresswoman Sally, thank you so much for this opportunity, and more importantly, thank you for bringing this up. I know this has been out in the forefront for quite a while, but I want to speak about something that most don't know, and there's a lot of myths and misperceptions or misconceptions when we think of human trafficking. It's easy for us to think of the dark, shadowy pimp in the background and hiding off with 5 or 6 kids and bringing them out for sale, or the online trappers. All of these things are of concern. But the real issue, when you drill down into this, is a number of these kids, and they are kids, over 300,000 of them across the nation. Some of these kids are 11, 12, 13 years old. But the real concern is they're actually sexualized through abuse, sexual abuse from family and others at an earlier age of 5 or 6. And so we get them as law enforcement with the county attorney's office, and we prosecute those who offend them at that age, and hopefully get them the right family services that they need. And sometimes that's difficult. So I'm actually very excited to hear you say you've got a task force. I would greatly love to be a part of that. I think we put together a MIST unit that brought together all of those in the mental health community, to include the courts and the county attorneys and the law enforcement officials, to work with mental health. And I think we can do something similar to that in our tactics in dealing with human trafficking. It's not just a border issue, it's everyone's issue. 83% of those who have been found to be trafficked, who have been victimized by this, are U.S. citizens. So it's not just a border issue. This is everyone's issue, and it's nothing partisan. This is very nonpartisan. So thank you so much, and we'll work hard.
Amelia from the County Attorney's Office, wanted to speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Supervisor Miller and Congresswoman McSally, and law enforcement and all the nonprofit agencies. Pima County Attorney Barbara Lawal had asked that we just speak to applaud your efforts to join us with the human trafficking working group that's already begun with some law enforcement and prosecution folks on the county side and at the federal side to bring greater awareness to this issue. We have our Chief Criminal Deputy, Kelly Johnson, and the supervisor of our Special Victims Unit, Alan Goodwin, here. Alan's going to talk for about 2 minutes about some of the cases that we've seen in our office and what we're doing in terms of education, serving victims, and working with law enforcement.
Good morning. As Amelia said, I supervise the Special Victims Unit, so we prosecute cases involving victims who come from our most vulnerable populations, victims of sex offenses, our children, and increasingly victims of sex trafficking. We're very happy to be a part of the human trafficking working group with a lot of our law enforcement partners, some of whom are here today, and a lot of our social service providers as well. One thing about sex trafficking that's different from a lot of other types of offenses is that there's a lot of cases where all you need is a good patrol officer and a good prosecutor, and you have a good investigation, you have a good prosecution. Human trafficking is different. With human trafficking, you have to be specially trained to recognize what might be lurking behind the scenes and to look past the prostitution that oftentimes is what is most visible. The other part of it is that if you are not able to offer your victims some glimpse of hope, that there is something out there that is better than their current living situation, you're not going to have an investigation, you're not going to have a prosecution. So we're very happy that we have our social service provider partners as part of the working group. As we all know, we're right on the border. In addition to that, we're sitting right on top of two major thoroughfares, one coming from the border and the other connecting the West Coast to major metropolitan areas to the east. But in addition to being a thoroughfare, we're starting to see that Tucson and Pima County is becoming a destination for human trafficking and sex trafficking. That being the case, we're very, very happy that we are now a zero-tolerance community and that everybody has joined together to help fight this plague on our society. So thank you for letting us be a part of the proclamation today.
Thank you. And I believe Congresswoman McSally has an appointment at 9:30, and we're approaching that time, so. Yeah.
Anyone else wish to speak? Jerry?
As a father of a sex trafficking victim here in Tucson and the founder and director of an organization fighting that, I can tell you this is our problem. These are our kids. The focus of Soul No More, I'm glad to hear about your task force, is education of our children and parents. We go into about 1,000 kids a month now in schools. And when we do, there are almost always girls that will step forward and share that that's what's happening to them at home. And the teachers don't know. As we go into the social service agencies, the medical colleges, and speak and teach and train them on how to recognize victims, they always discover that they've had these victims coming through their doors and didn't know it. So education to us is absolutely essential and primary, and that's why we're excited that the county's taking this on. Thank you.
Did anyone else have any reports? Agent Moore?
Thank you all. As a mother of 3, 2 daughters and a son, I want to tell you that these are our children, and we must do everything that we possibly can to make sure that they're aware of their surroundings, of everything. We don't want them living in we want them living a life of fear, but awareness is what we're trying to bring.
Thank you, Adriana. Anyone else wishes to speak? Okay, thank you all for being here. I think we need a
All right, we're going to move on then to item number 5, presentation of a proclamation to Betsy Bolding proclaiming the day of Sunday, March 1st, 2015 to be Betsy Bolding Day. And I know she was not expecting this at all. I'll move the item. Motion and a second. Any objections? Hearing none, motion carries. And if I could get Betsy to come forward.
I'm down here for the bond. I can't buy the dog, I'm so sorry. My granddaughter would want that dog so badly.
I'll donate $200 in your name.
Yeah, no, this isn't about bonds. It is about the bonds too.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
Larry, stay up. Come, Larry. Come on. Now, why don't you hold it so everybody can see? Okay. Whereas Betsy Bolding is an Arizona... Don't hide behind it. This is going to take a long time if you keep behaving that way. Oh. Whereas Betsy Bolding is an Arizonan by birth and a Tucsonan by choice since she enrolled in the University of Arizona, and whereas Tucson's Woman of the Year in 2003, Betsy has dedicated herself to the betterment of Pima County, building an impressive record of community involvement, including the board of the Arizona Community Action Association, Women at the Top, University of Arizona's College of Social and Behavioral Science Advisory Board, Gender and Women's Studies Advisory Committee, Prescott College, Arizona Theater Company, the Community Food Bank, the Loft Cinema Board, and whereas on March 1st, 2015, Betsy will retire from Tucson Electric Power, where for the past 20 plus years, Betsy has been manager of consumer affairs at Tucson Electric Power and UNS Energy, for which she manages the company's K-8 in-school education programs and provides community outreach for TEP's special programs to benefit low-income customers and for its solar and renewable energy programs. And whereas Betsy's willingness to share her limitless energy and passion for Southern Arizona with all of us has guided and mentored upcoming community leaders who will carry on her work. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Pima County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaims Sunday, March 1st, 2015 to be Betsy Bolding Day, passed and adopted this 17th day of February 2015.
Well, it's okay. Everybody here is great. I recognize so many people that I haven't seen in a while, and thank you very much, but this is just too much. And our community is filled with fabulous people, many of whom are in this room and elected to this body, and I love you all.
And Bruce Babbitt has sent a letter. And let me read that.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on.
Nobody wants to hear the whole thing. They just
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just read the first paragraph and the last sentence. How's that? Dear Pima County Supervisors, thank you for honoring Betsy Bolding upon the event of her retirement by commemorating Betsy Bolding Day. It is an appropriate measure of appreciation so many have for her work and service. Betsy played a singular role in Southern Arizona during my time as governor. She opened the first Southern Arizona governor's office and led it with enormous skill and effectiveness. She was then and has remained a relentless and successful advocate for the issues and people of Tucson. Thank you for your salute to her service. Sincerely, Bruce Babbitt. While we allow the room to clear, so those standing up can sit down. No, thank you. And Betsy, congratulations on your retirement. Supervisor Carroll, you wanted a moment of personal privilege?
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank all the people here for this opportunity to commemorate a life that passed on February 10th, 2015. The life I speak of is Alfie Norville. Alfie Norville has been a member of our community for many decades and was active in groups from as diverse as the Astronomy Board all the way to the Catholic Diocese of Tucson. She was active in many other organizations, too many to mention here, but she was mentioned 2011 as the Outstanding Philanthropist of the Year by the Association of Fundraising Professionals. And in 2006, Alfie was recognized as a remarkable mom by the Tunadito Children and Family Services of Tucson. I didn't want to let this meeting go by without mentioning what a wonderful friend and leader Alfie was in this community and how sorry we are at her passing. There will be a service Saturday, February 21st at 11 a.m. at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Catholic Church. And Alfie's favorite color was wildcat red, and they suggest if you are going to go to that service, you do wear wildcat red. God bless her life, and her efforts in this community were a better place because she was here. And our condolences to her husband, Alan, and her many children and grandchildren. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Supervisor Carroll. Now I'm going to take one more thing out of order. I'm going to move to the addendum agenda and item 2, opposition to predator hunts. Supervisor Elias.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I put this item on the agenda in response to a predator hunt that took place here in Tucson last week and as a part of the Predator Masters Convention. This is a matter of indiscriminate killing of wildlife. We all know that coyotes, especially in the urban circumstance, create issues for us sometimes. But these hunts are not part of a wildlife management plan. This is killing for sport. Not even killing for sport, killing for fun. Nobody eats these animals. There wasn't even a competition. Sometimes they have competitions. This was just killing. And we're not just talking about coyotes, but we're talking about ringtail cats, coramundi, bobcats. This is really a problem for us, and I think that our values here in Pima County are very different. So I'd ask the board to support my motion to approve Resolution 2015-8. And before I make that motion, I'd ask everybody who's here to support this resolution to please stand so that we can see you all. And anybody opposed to killing of wildlife, thank you all for coming. So I'll make that motion now to approve Resolution 2015-8.
Madam Chair. Second, Supervisor Miller, and then Supervisor Valadez.
I'd just like to say that this is a difficult one because it crosses over with the Second Amendment, but I believe this has nothing to do with Second Amendment rights. From what I've seen, the pictures, as Richard said, it's not hunting for food. It's not killing them because they're invading our farmlands, our ranches. It's just coming and killing indiscriminately for sport. So I do support this resolution, and I just thank everyone for coming today.
Valadez.
Madam Chair, thank you. First of all, thank you to Supervisor Elias. When I first heard about this several weeks ago, my office was contacted via email through our website, and my first response was, what? And so we subsequently went directly to Mr. Huckleberry, I think we all saw the memo, where this practice was prohibited on county-owned or county-controlled land. That was also expressed to the Arizona Game and Fish Department because this was simply unacceptable. Now, I grew up a hunter, and one of the things that my father always taught us about hunting is if you ain't gonna eat it, you ain't gonna shoot it. This isn't hunting. This isn't anything other than killing. And for that reason, that's why we went through and prohibited this practice on county lands. And certainly I would encourage all of you to contact your legislators because they need to prohibit this practice on any state land that the state owns because it's ridiculous. It is not hunting, it is killing. This is not right.
I know we have some number of speakers that clerk tells me. Did you want to have them speak or do you want to take a vote, Supervisor Elias?
Why don't we just go ahead and vote? I think everybody here who's come out, we certainly appreciate your efforts, and we have a lot of business on today's agenda. So I would appreciate it if we could just go ahead and vote. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for standing up for wildlife here in southern Arizona. Thank you for standing up for Pima and wildlife.
So I'll call the question. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Carroll. Supervisor Elias. Supervisor Miller.
Aye.
Supervisor Valdez.
Aye.
Chair Bronson.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. I'm going to move back to the regular agenda and call to the public at this time. Those of you who are here on that issue, why don't we wait till you clear the room and then we'll move on to call to the public. Okay, we're going to move now to call to the public, and your speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and we're asked to abide by the rules of civility. And with that, Bonnie Campa, wearing a different hat.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisors, and County Manager. I am here with my Tucson Symphony Orchestra hat on, officially retired from ICS. And I want to pledge our support to inform and engage our constituents who represent many areas in the county to support the bond package. The renovations planned for the Symphony Hall are really so important and are vital for bringing world-class music in Tucson. So we will keep advocating. We will bring out our voters. At concerts this past weekend alone, we included inserts in our programs and spoke to over 4,000 people, encouraging them to get more information and support the bond. We'll continue to reach our 38,000 attendees and 4,400 households in Pima County through regular concert presentations, emails, and we'll advocate directly with our patrons for their yes vote on the November 2015 bond election. So, thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Levy.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisors, Mr. Huckleberry. I'm here to encourage
encourage your support of the bond issue. I'm quite concerned because I've heard that not everyone is in alignment with a bond issue for 2015. And I would just like to point out that the needs of our community have grown tremendously since the last major bond issue, and that a delay will cause even greater exponential need and more money. I want to commend Larry Hecker and Carolyn Campbell for their work and your appointees on the Bond Advisory Committee. They have put in a tremendous amount of time. I hope it will bear fruit. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce Dusenberry?
Good morning, Madam Chair, Supervisors, County Administrator. I'm Bruce Dusenberry, and I'm here to also speak in support of the bond. Specifically, the provision of $5 million for the vacant land inside the fence line at Davis Mountain would be an excellent thing to do in terms of securing the future of Davis Mountain in our community, one of our pillars of the economy. But also the entire bond package. I too attended the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee meetings, and the Chairman Hecker and Vice Chair Campbell and all of your appointees, members of that commission. That Citizens Advisory panel is for the bonds is one of the jewels really of Pima County and of our entire region. And sometimes perfect is the enemy of good. You can always pick at things, but this is a very good package, and it's one that should be put on the election for 2015. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dusenberry. Tanya Miller?
Good morning all, my name is Tanya Miller. I'm a resident of Pima County, and I'm also on the Board of Trustees of the Tucson Symphony Orchestra. I'm here this morning, like my colleagues, in order to urge support for the bond package on the November 2015 ballot, and in particular the provision which addresses the downtown community theaters and the historic cultural landscape. I'll be brief this morning, and I only want to say that the county is in need of and ready to support those improvements which are included and addressed in the package, and also to remind the board of the public support that this board as a whole and its members individually might enjoy should the public come to understand that you're willing to enable our community and its members to address the important improvements which are included in this package. Thank you.
Thank you. Dane Wall?
Madam Chair, members of the board, actually I had indicated support for the project but did not need to speak today. However, on behalf of the 200,000 members of the YMCA of Southern Arizona, we support this package. Please allow it to go to the voters in November of 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn Wood Dusenberry?
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board, and Mr. Huckleberry. I am pleased to be here. I too could say just ditto to what Dane Wall said. I'm here in support of this package. I serve as the president of the Arizona Theater Company Board, one of the jewels of not only Pima County but the state of Arizona, and we really need to improve the theater, and I urge you to send this bond to the election in 2015. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica Andrews?
Good morning. I am the Managing Director Emeritus of Arizona Theater Company, having been there since 1995 and transitioning out. But I wanted to come and speak on behalf of the bond. There's so many wonderful arts and cultural projects included in this package. I do want to also specifically speak about the Temple of Music and Art. It is indeed an amazing historic building, and Arizona Theater Company and the other users of the facility bring over 65,000 people to the theater. It is used in so many ways for graduations, weddings, etc. So it really is used by the community as a whole, not just Arizona Theater Company. The improvements are absolutely necessary. It must have a new roof. It must have new air conditioning. These are not glamorous things we're talking about, but they are critical if this wonderful and incredible building is to continue to exist and serve the citizens of Pima County. Thank you.
Thank you. Damian Alexander?
thank you all for the opportunity to be here. I am also in favor of the bond election, and I represent the cycling community, in particular the Arizona Bicycle Center Velodrome. Mr. Huckleberry has said before that tourism, and in particular the biking, is a key factor in the development of Southern Arizona. And we have had a huge response of not just people who want this, but who have clearly said, we will vote for this election, and we want this. El Grupo Youth Cycling, we're getting kids out there. We're putting it down at Keno Sports Complex. It gives an opportunity for many at-risk kids to get off the street. It also will encourage a lot of people who live in the foothills and other areas around town to interact with these kids and to mentor them. So please, please, put this bond election forward. Thank you so much for allowing us to speak.
Thank you. Sue, is it Hoff?
Very good. My name is Sue Hoff. Nice to meet you all. I'm representing the Reed Park Zoo. I am also in favor of the bond. The zoo is a jewel in our desert. It provides economic development opportunities. Jason has great projects that are going to be forthcoming if this bond is passed. I have 2 sons and 4 grandsons, and I bring my family continually to the zoo and to their events. They're now almost not too old to come, but they are going on 17. In any case, I strongly advocate that you put this bond issue in the 2015 election. Thank you.
Thank you. Shelley, and I think it's Duncan. Oh yeah, there you are.
All right, my name is Shelley Duncan. I'm a former baseball player, born and raised here in Tucson, lifelong Pima County resident. I want to tell you guys I'm going to pledge my support all the way up to the election to get this bond package passed. And the reason is I really feel this is going to be a bond package that supports parks and recreation. What I believe is that's an investment in our kids' future. That's an investment in our city's future, an investment for our families. And as a father of 2, I'm really starting to see the importance of it now. It means a lot to me because 5 years ago I started a foundation with a mission to grow the sport of baseball in Tucson. And my first steps with that was to see the current state of baseball in Tucson. And what I learned was a lot more troubling and different than I thought the problems would be. What I learned is that the sport was starting to outprice families. It was starting to get too expensive for a lot of people in our city. I started realizing the economic hurt our city felt. And in turns, a lot of parents couldn't afford to get their kids out there to play. That's not just baseball, that's every single sport. One of the big problems is lack of fields. With lack of fields, prices go up. People have to travel to Phoenix. People have to pay for hotel rooms. Club baseball, club soccer, tournament, all of a sudden becomes an emphasis. There's children that aren't allowed to play because they can't afford to play. If we put investment in our city with parks, in our community in parks, you're going to start seeing a lot more kids out there. A lot more kids get away from the video games. A lot more kids start learning lessons like leadership, teamwork, hard work, battling through adversity. A lot of parents are going to get involved. You'll see the growth in parents. You'll see the growth in kids. You'll see our community thrive over the years. Sometimes I feel like right now we have to take our focus off of the present and start putting it on the future. And this bond package does it. It's an investment on our future. With parks, I really think that's a small step. And that's why I will support this bond package all the way to the election. Thank you.
Thank you, Shelley. Autumn Rentmaster.
Not quite as tall. Good morning, Madam Chair, Board, Mr. Huckleberry. I am here representing the Children's Museum Tucson, as well as the rest of the individuals and organizations that are on the bond package. On behalf of our board and staff and all of the companies who our board members represent, we feel this is the time, and we are prepared to help with the fundraising efforts that will entail. Our organization has grown significantly. We see 162,000 residents, 80% of who come from Pima County. And we've grown that 82% without changing our walls. And so we're bursting at the seams. But it's more than about us. It's about the other organizations. It's about the sense of community that this bond creates. It's about the infrastructure and the reinvestment to the community. But it's about tourism. It's about the ability for us to come together as a community and to, as has been said by many others, to put the children first, because they're the ones who are going to be making these decisions for us in the future. And we love the support and time and thought that would take in November to make this go forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm going to probably mangle this next name, so my apologies in advance. Carla Van Drunen Litui.
Hello, I'm Carla Van Drunen Litui. I'm a co-founder of a community volunteer organization called TCC Today, and we advocate the collaboration between government, business, civic organizations, and philanthropists to improve the TCC campus. I'm coming to you today because I've heard you individually and publicly speak about your potential inability to support the bond. So, honorable supervisors, I would like you to demonstrate your leadership and vision and let the voters decide on the bond proposal that will be forthcoming from the Pima County Bond Advisory Committee. Our coalition, many of those people who've already spoken today, have pledged to work together to educate the voters and to bring out the yes vote in November. The bond package under consideration provides benefits for all of Pima County and all strata of our community. I want to draw a modest comparison with the plan for Chicago, which you may also know as the Burnham Plan. In 1909, it recommended an integrated series of projects to improve the city. These included wider streets that would be more safe, parks for children and families to recreate, new railroads and harbor facilities, and civic and cultural buildings. It was conceived by business leaders, but advocated and supported by elected officials. The success that Chicago has today can be directly tied to these improvements, which were bold and visionary for their time. Now, you might dismiss this. You might say that surely the economy at that time supported such rich investment. But I remind you that in 1907, we had a significant bank crash, one that created the Federal Reserve System in America, and a recession of many years followed that time. The architects of the Burnham Plan and its supporters demonstrated leadership in an economic environment that is not far different than the one that we are in right now. The authors and supporters of that plan contended that there were costs and even dangers in simply letting Chicago be as it was. Moreover, they believed that the promise of the city justified taking bold steps, measures that were expensive and potentially controversial. Generations of Chicagoans talk about the leadership and the vision of that plan and recognize its impact. I ask you please to make a bold choice for Pima County. Take the leadership step that generations in our community will thank you for, recognize, and talk about for years to come. Let the voters decide.
Thank you. Jerry Payton. Jerry Payton. Okay. John Beckeris. Oh, you.
That's
there.
not on the county bond issue, but.
Well, it's you've got to call to the audience, so it doesn't have to be. I'm sorry. You can talk about the county bond issue or whatever else you want.
Yeah. Okay. My name's John Becerra, chapter chair, Pima SEIU. I'm here to talk about the healthcare change. I'd like you to know Pima chapter chair, our Pima chapter SEIU strongly opposes the medical changes to the healthcare. Healthcare trust is strong, and overall costs have been lowered by self-insurance, which we went to last year. Employees have done their part in making this transition successful by participating in employee wellness programs. And in a time when the healthcare costs have never been under more control, and employees are doing more to help build a strong and responsible healthcare in Pima County, Mr. Huckleberry is recommending that the most He's recommending the most drastic change to healthcare since removing retirees from the healthcare program. And that's, counterproductive to what we work towards as employees. And also, I'd like to talk on the smoking ban. Smoking bans, I don't smoke, but the testing, it would hit me because secondhand smoke is just as bad as primary smoke. I go to the casinos, I go to an American Legion. It would hurt veterans. Veterans wouldn't be able to go to their American Legion, their VFW posts. And as Ally Miller stated, since we have to sign an affidavit, we don't smoke, that would infringe on our Fifth Amendment rights of self-incrimination. So if you want to look into amendments, there's one to look into. I thank you.
Thank you. Jim Owen?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I also want to speak on the nicotine policy. My name is Jim Owen. I've been a Pima County employee for 8 years. I don't smoke. In fact, nobody in my department smokes. But we've had a lot of discussions about this nicotine proposal, and it worries us. Each of you now have a dual role: Pima County Supervisor and Insurance Executive. Our insurer wants the county to hire people with the least chance of filing a claim. This is just good business. As our insurer, you don't care how good or bad the county workers are, how much work they do, or how well they do it. And it doesn't matter if the claim filed is related to smoking, obesity, or a family history of breast cancer. Our insurer would love us to exclude anyone likely to file any claim. But as employers, you know it's vitally important how we do the county's work, how well we do it, and how much of it we get done each day. That's everything to us. And it should be to you too. First and foremost, we are and need to be the best workers for the job. The point of the county becoming self-insured wasn't to make money. It was intended to be a better way for the county to provide workers with affordable health care for all its workers. County workers have jumped through every hoop you've held up. HDHP, jump. Wellness plans and points, jump. But this next phase is about excluding people. Say no to that now, or each year you'll be asked to exclude and penalize more and more workers, no matter how high they jump. You'll be starting down a road that has no end. A simple DNA test can already predict our probability of contracting a long list of diseases. Does this board really want to be in the business of judging who pays a higher premium? Someone with a 5% chance of a heart attack or someone with a 2% chance of cancer? Insurance actuaries crunch these kind of numbers. How you vote on this will tell the whole county which is more important to this board, doing the county's work or saving insurance money. So I guess the real question for this board is, who are you? Thank you.
Thank you. Maya Castillo?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. I'm here to strenuously object on both health insurance premium increases and intrusive smoker penalties. In the past several months, I've seen employees hit hard and employee morale plummet. I've seen a memo in one department threatening to discipline employees who spoke anonymously because they were afraid to speak publicly. I've seen and heard evidence of employees told that there would be library closures and thus layoffs, and seen multiple mistakes made with the ADP transition, among many other issues. Now our employees are faced with up to a 45% increase on their health insurance, the eventual goal to force a reduction in employee choice. That's pretty incredible. The Health Insurance Wellness Advisory Committee had no say in this proposal. We were only informed after Mr. Huckleberry had made the proposal to you. HR seems to think they've done a good job of educating employees on cost savings, but discounts any stories of employees not having the opportunity. The self-insurance trust is healthy and on track to end the purchase of expensive stop-loss insurance. Health insurance premium changes are absolutely unnecessary. As for the smoking surcharges, multiple reputable organizations like the American Lung Association say they don't improve employee health. Additionally, because of previous efforts by the tobacco industry to attract certain populations, the smoking population is largely minority, lower income, and lower education. Additionally, veterans and victims of abuse, some of whom were discussed after the very important zero tolerance on human trafficking proclamation made earlier at this meeting, are more likely to use tobacco. Way to single out some potentially vulnerable groups and potentially discourage them from getting what could be much needed care. By the way, I've had members of the public approach me about this issue, non-smokers who are not county employees, who are in disbelief about this proposal. Just the other day, a parent at my daughter's school let me know that she thought it was awful. She also made it clear that she's a Pima County property taxpayer, not employed by Pima County. So the public is definitely watching. Employees are increasingly being penalized for making the choice to serve the public. Pima County is heading down the road of offering the bare minimum, and so how will we attract the best and brightest to serve our public, or even retain those best and brightest who wish they could stay? Thank you. Additionally, I was just handed a letter that I'll hand to the clerk of the board from a Pima County employee who is unable to be here today and make her comments.
Thank you. That brings us at the end of call to the audience. We will now move on to executive session. We have one item on the addendum. What's the pleasure of the board? Motion and a second. If there are no objections, we'll convene and reconvene in regular session at the sound of the gavel.
Financing what, the bond? Oh, no, that's in the bond issue. They haven't even, they've got to put it on Pima County, it's got to be voted for. I don't feel that part should even be in the bond issue, because I'm for improving a lot of the things that we already have, but not for adding like that. See, are they still going to have study sessions on that, or are they all going to do that? That's starting in
The idea is the last summer we had it